Right, everyone, we're in the midst of Derby Week, and everybody knows that Derby Week is when you can have some light-hearted fun. And that's what we're going to do today on the channel. Listen, Celtic still have a fair bit of work to do this season. We still don't know whether it's going to be just one trophy, two, or even a full set of 3 domestic trophies under Ange Postecoglou in his debut season. But what we do know, I would suggest, is the standing of Ange. And he was a guy who many compared to Pedro Caixinha. Others said that he'd be sacked by Christmas, if not Halloween. Well, who's laughing now? Probably Celtic fans, and probably Ange as well, if we're honest. That's what we're discussing on today's video. Yes, everyone, it's wild take time. And for once, I'm not responsible. Okay, I should say right away that we're not just taking any old tweet from Staunch Bear 1690 for this video. We're going to use recognisable names you'll be well aware of, which I think makes it all the more enjoyable. And we're starting with David Davy Proven, who had this brilliant take in August after our aggregate win over AZ Alkmaar. The Celtic defence is a shambles ahead of Rangers' game, and no amount of Postecoglou's coaching can fix it. Now, Proven's take here is that this Celtic defence is not good enough and no amount of work on the training ground is going to fix it. Only new signings will work. At the point of him saying this, the only Celtic defender who wasn't signed yet was Cameron Carter-Vickers. The likes of Starfelt, Juranovic, etc. were all at the club. So it's very clear that Postecoglou's coaching has, in fact, played a big part in our brilliant defence that has shipped just 19 goals in the league all season, 33 matches. To be fair, Proven does say he rates Ange, although his comments about Ange having to change his game plan when up against better sides really haven't aged well at all, knowing Ange now. But sadly now, we must come to one of our own, and I really will struggle to do the next minute or so. I absolutely loved John Hartson as a player. I also know from personal experience that he's a brilliant guy, a really genuine, kind person. However, he will probably admit that he misjudged this one on Ange pretty badly. This is from around the time when Postecoglou's name was first mentioned. And to be fair to John Hartson, there was a lot of this kind of stuff going about. I can't lie, I wasn't exactly delighted when the original reports of Postecoglou came out on that Friday night. We'd just been hit by the Who news, and then the Postecoglou reports came out. I wasn't delighted either. If there had been a video on that Friday night, I would maybe be putting myself forward for this video. John Hartson, speaking on the Go Radio football show, said, "I look at the situation and think he's managed the Australia youth side. He's managed the national side. He's currently managing in Japan. I just think Celtic need to be thinking bigger in terms of their next manager. They have to respond better than what they are. As a football club, I can understand the fans' frustrations." Now, Nothing really horrendous there, to be honest. There's certainly far worse to come in this video. Nowadays, Hartson is a big fan, like the rest of us. He absolutely loves Postecoglou. So this story ended very happily. Now, Chris Commons was always likely to end up in this video. One of those guys you just knew, searching his name, next to Ange Postecoglou, there'd be some sort of column or article coming up where he slagged Ange off. So let's get into Chris Commons now. Celtic had an abundance of time to prepare for the summer rebuild, yet 8 months down the line they have handed Postecoglou a donkey in what already looks like being a one-horse race once again. I would be astonished if Celtic got anywhere near Rangers this season. The Old Firm clash at Ibrox on August the 29th already looks like it could be a painful affair for Postecoglou. If this sounds pessimistic, then how else are we to view Celtic right now? They've just been knocked out of the Champions League qualifiers by a bang average Michelin team. I felt like things couldn't get any worse after last season, but now I'm not so sure. Once again, it is really important to just remember where we were at this stage. It was a pretty dire time for Celtic. We just lost to Michelin. We just lost our opening game of the league season to Hearts. Thinking back, my recollection of that time and the way I felt about Ange and Celtic was that Ange had already showed that the system he had could work, and he clearly had a clue what he was doing, but that he just didn't have the players at this stage. I'm not going to claim that I've had Celtic winning the league all season, But I did feel that Ange had something in these early matches, and it's a little bit of a surprise to me that other people couldn't see it. But then again, I suppose the results were very, very poor in this stage. By the way, by other people, I mean the people who are included in this video, like Chris Commons. Commons also stated that this was, without question, the worst Celtic team we've seen in well over 20 years. Well, 6 months later, around about that, when Celtic beat Rangers 3-0 at Celtic Park, Commons had changed his tune. He said, "There's now a ruthlessness to this Celtic team, a relentless streak which, from their position at the top of the table, means it's now their title to lose from here. They have all the momentum. Celtic are now the pace setters. They are the best team in the league right now, and it's up to Rangers to catch them." Again here, the common theme: you doubt Ange, he proves you wrong. You write him off at your peril and you're made to look a little bit daft. Let's just remind ourselves at this stage of what Andy Harper had to say about what Ange makes of this ignorant criticism. He clearly enjoys proving people wrong, doesn't he? But do you think, honestly, it would have... I mean, he kind of puts a kind of brave face on it and says, you know, I expected people to be asking who's Ange Postecoglou in Scotland when he was appointed. Do you think it did affect him?
Doesn't affect him, but it certainly motivates him. It irritates him. It irritates him, as it does us, that people can't put relevant context of things.
Right, who's next? Well, we can't really do this video without mentioning Alan Brazil speaking on TalkSport. I am not sure I want to read this out, if I'm honest. Is this a wind-up? Breaking news coming out of Scotland here, as Celtic have applied for exemption with UEFA for Yokohama Marinos boss, what is it, Postecoglou, to manage in Europe. He does not hold the required UEFA Pro licence. Oh, this has got to be a wind-up. Oh, he'll be a great manager. Where do they come up with these guys from? Now, we've probably all heard and seen this clip. Hopefully I did it justice there with the Postecoglou. It's pretty laughable. Again, context is key, and being ill-informed is kind of Brazil's gimmick. It kind of works in TalkSport in general. It's all about... TalkSport's whole kind of thing is winding people up so that they then get in touch and so that they share their clips on social media out of anger. Brazil, I think Ray Parlour does it. The guy, is it Jordan? The guy, Jamie O'Hara, does it quite a lot. They're always kind of having a go at Scottish football and stuff that will wind people up. So it's important to remember that. But it is also important to remember that this was just a kind of exaggerated version of how a lot of people were feeling about Postecoglou. Now, if you actually looked into him in these early days and found out about him from people in Australia and Japan who knew about him, as we did on 67 Hail Hail, you found a very different truth. So I think there's a lesson for us all there. Ange did have his say on this Alan Brazil clip on Open Goal recently, saying it's one of those. I just kind of leave it at that level, and he's obviously doing a different role there. He's got an opinion, and that's fine. That's no problem to me. He's obviously trying to make a bit of a statement. He made a statement, and he's got to live with it now. Just a perfect response again from Ange. And Ange clearly very aware that Brazil was playing to the galleries there as well with that comment. Ange also said he remembered Brazil as a player, which got me thinking about something Ernie Merrick had told me about Ange having a frustration, just a minor frustration, at Celtic.
I know a couple of things that he's disappointed with, and it's not so much the media, it's maybe some ex-players that are having a go at their old club, and that's a no-no here in Australia, and I'm sure it's a no-no in Britain as well. But for an ex-player to continually have a go at the performance of the club, there's obviously, ill will, bad will there, that not against Ange, against the club.
Now, given that Ange is of a certain vintage, could he have been chatting about Charlie Nicholas, perhaps? Again, there's a happy ending to this story, but before we get on to that, let's tackle the low point for now. Speaking at the time of Ange's appointment in his Express column, Charlie Nicholas said, just sitting there thinking, the impending appointment of Ange Postecoglou is hardly a statement of intent from Celtic. There's nothing wrong with having a plan B, but this is not plan B, this is desperation. I will give Postecoglou a chance because I'm a supporter, but is the former Australia boss really the height of the club's ambitions? It has nothing to do with his lack of knowledge of the Scottish game or me looking down on football in the Southern Hemisphere? If this is a man Celtic are bringing in, then fans simply have to accept it. This is where the club is at. It is mind-blowing how far behind the 8 ball Celtic seem to be. A few months later, and Nicholas was at it again, just sitting there thinking. Ange Postecoglou looks to me to be the new Ronnie Dyler. I am not sure Postecoglou has realised how big Celtic really are before he came in. I believe he has missed a pitch. I think Ange thought he would just come in here and his playing style would get him over the line, no problem. But it is not about style, it is about winning. Once again, Ange won over the doubter, hardly a surprise there, and actually bumped into Nicholas in early February. Now, compare and contrast the 2 sets of quotes you just heard with the one you're about to hear. Just sitting there thinking, Ange gave me a genuine warm hug, which was much appreciated. We had a brief 5-minute conversation during which I thanked him for the job he's doing at my old club and what he is building. Ange is a strong individual and won't bow down to any chief executive or owner. He is his own man and has a clear vision of what he wants to do. Right, let's start rattling through these now. Chris Boyd, come on down. Ange Postecoglou has no authority at Celtic, no backing, no support from the board, and virtually no chance of being successful. Unless things change, there's no point in him being there. Right, thanks for that, Chris. You can go back up now. At this stage, I was just really firing in names next to Ange and hoping to get some sort of opinionated nonsense from June, July or August. Charlie Adam, Barry Ferguson, tried for both of them. They seem to escape. But when the Daily Record's Keith Jackson starts an article with no harm to big Ange Postecoglou, you know it's going to be box office. Jackson continued, for all anyone knows at this point, he could be the best thing to come out of Australia since Kylie Minogue's hot pants. If he has detected a healthy sense of scepticism around his appointment, then it probably says as much about the men in charge than it does of his own credentials as a coach. This stuff is just golden. And last but not least, Hugh Keevins, in his Daily Record column near the start of the season, at the very least, we now know what the Ange in Ange Postecoglou stands for. Absolutely not good enough. My main issue with this isn't the fact that he's having a go at Ange, it's the fact that Hugh thinks that first names stand for something. That's just not how it works. I mean, Hamish doesn't stand for... Can I improvise this? Sorry. But come on, wisen up, Hugh. And I would suggest that Ange has proven himself to be very much good enough to the Celtic support. Thanks for watching, everyone.